Pessoal, muito boa noite. Bom, eu tô com um problema sério aqui na internet. Internet caindo, não sei se é o cabo. O computador parou também, travou do nada. Também tô com problemas técnicos que acabaram também acarretando no problema de. Além do problema de conexão, agora também tô tendo um problema com relação à qualidade aqui do computador também, né? Então eu acabei abrindo algumas páginas, fazendo alguns recursos que pesaram o computador e ele acabou caindo, né? Travou tudo. Aí eu perdi as views, perdi tudo. Mas eu vou dar uma sequência aqui de novo. Vou tentar fazer uma retransmissão, tentar começar da parte de onde parou, gravando, salvando diretamente do que eu tenho aqui, do acervo que eu tenho do vídeo, né? Da entrevista já no computador. Vou transmitir através do meu vídeo offline. Não vou usar mais o curso aqui. Então, obrigado pro pessoal que está chegando aí de novo, né? Peço desculpas pelo problema técnico de cair. Então, eu vou dar seguimento, vou lançar. Se cair de novo, né? O que acontece? Aí se eu cair se cair de novo, se correr qualquer problema, se o computador travar, se a internet cair, então eu vou juntar, gravar esse vídeo offline, vou lançar no YouTube, tá? E aí vocês vão poder conferir lá. Bom, hoje, como eu disse, hoje não vai ter jogatina, né? Não vai ter gameplay hoje. Então essa entrevista está sendo transmitida pelo YouTube e pela Twitch. Então, bem, mais uma vez peço desculpas aí por esse. Bom, que já vamos começar. Muito bem. Essa é a segunda parte. Ah, deixa eu ver aqui. Ah, mano, Léo. Opa. Achei que era a minha internet. Pior que é a minha. Não só. Eu tive dois problemas aqui. O modem, né? Eu tô, o técnico da TIM veio hoje, foi trocar o modem. Aí, aí tal, provavelmente, eu espero que seja cabo, né? Que pelo amor de Deus, tá difícil. O PC não tá tancando, a internet não tá tancando. Eu vou juntar tudo e comprar tudo de novo. Bom, vamos lá. Ver se tá tudo certinho, porque da outra vez deu eco, né? Bom, gente, espero que vocês gostem aí. Tem uma ótima sessão. Eu vou ter que, eu vou ter que mexer na ferramenta estúdio aqui para ver se tá tudo ok. Transmitir. A gente pedindo desculpa mais uma vez aí pela. Boa aqui. 121. Essa entrevista lá foi realizada há quase acho que um mês. Inicialmente era para ser um vídeo único, né? Sendo que eu tô transmitindo, tô fazendo a versão com extras, introdução, entrevistas e no final vai ter um extra também de despedida e falando sobre. Vamos lá. ser dessa forma agora. É isso aí, gente. Vamos lá. Até aqui, pessoal, que problema aqui. Poder ouvir. Ok. Se houver qualquer problema aí, técnico, vocês me falam.
That was effortless.
That question is interesting. Have any project when you participate, but they are discarded?
Yes. Unfortunately, yes. Many. And this is going to be the one that we have to ask Dave if we get together with Dave. But that there was that one project where, well, again, Cool World didn't get released. And, and we put a lot of effort into building that game up, but that didn't get released. But that wasn't an original title. That was an adaptation from a movie. But that one, oh my goodness, I really can't believe that I can't think of the name of the game. I wish I could get Dave on the phone right now and ask him what the name of the game was. But I'll tell you the premise of the game. Oh, there was two. There was another one called Baby Boomers. There was a game called Baby Boomers that never got released. And Baby Boomers. And basically, I mean, if I can remember the storyline for this video game, it took place on New Year's Eve, December 31st. And all these parents were at New Year's Eve parties all around the city. And they all left their little children with babysitters with this one big babysitting service. And at midnight, the computer systems crashed and all the babies got out and they scattered all over the city and they were doing all kinds of things to get in trouble. They were just ruining the city. And so as part of the gameplay, you had to be able to try to, get these babies and collect them and bring them back in and get them back to the babysitting center before the city was destroyed. The gameplay of that, the way that we talked about it, sounded like it was going to be so much fun. It sounds like a kind of a strange concept right now, but at the time and thinking about some of the gameplay things that we were going to be doing with it, it sounded like it was going to be an absolute blast. Unfortunately, it never got released. And our whole team felt very, very let down by it not getting released because that was one of our in-house developed concepts that we really were behind and we really wanted to see get picked up. And because it didn't, it was a bit of a letdown, but it was very doable. We could have produced it and it would have been, I think it would have been a great game to play, but it just never got picked up. We put a couple of demo levels together and then we had to drop it. And then this other one that I can't remember the name of was really all about this person, whoever's the player, trying to travel around the world to find different treasures. And as they're traveling, they would come upon these different animals and they would talk to the animals and ask the animals for suggestions or hints on how to find the treasure. So it was a little bit like Monkey Island in a way, but it was a lot more sophisticated than Monkey Island because the characters would respond with song, with music. I mean, there'd be like the player would have to try to find a platypus, and it would ask these toucans up in a tree if it knew where it could find a platypus, and then the toucan birds would sing a song about platypuses to the player, and in the song, in the lyrics, there were hints about where the player needed to go in order to find a platypus. And if they find the platypus, then they've solved that part of the puzzle, and then they move on through the game. And I'm just drawing a blank on what the name of that game was, but that was another game that, again, we had it all down on paper. It was all designed out. We were already developing the music for several of the levels, and it didn't get picked up. So
great. So you participated in the animation part as well. This is interesting because I believe that I only can know the sound part of the games, and you are entire game industry. So you have
it's a team. We everybody. I mean, the only thing we don't talk about is the coding, the programming, because the artists don't know programming, and I'm a musician. I don't know the programming. I really can't talk about programming, but gameplay and graphics and music, we all can talk about that. So everybody contributes on that level. Everybody talks about all that stuff together as a team. So yeah. And personally, I have to tell you something. My opinion, this is just my personal opinion. The most important part of a game is not the music. The most important part of the game is not the sound effects. The most important part of the game is not the graphics. The most important part of a game is the gameplay. The way it plays. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. Pong. You know the game Pong? The two paddles and the ball goes between?
Yes. Yeah.
No graphics, just two things in a circle, two rectangles in a circle, and one sound effect. Bing, bing, bing. That's it. But the gameplay is incredible. The physics are incredible. And that game is addicting. It's absolutely addicting, right? So it's not about all those other things. They're nice. It's nice when the music is great. It's nice when the sound effects are cool. It's nice when the graphics are great. But you could have all those things great, and if the gameplay is horrible, if the physics are bad, if just the general feel of the character is not good, it just doesn't feel natural, nobody's going to play that game. Gameplay, the most important part of a video game. It is single-handedly the most important part. And I have nothing to do with that, other than making comments. That's all the programmers. The programmers are the ones that have control of and responsibility for the quality of the gameplay. They're the ones that write the code that make the game play the way it plays. It's the most critical thing.
We have great teachings here. So I see. It's very. It's my opinion.
It's just my opinion. Thank you.
So is interesting because I interviewed a Japanese programmer of game called Power Athlete. Do you mean about Power Athlete? Power Athlete?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
It's a fighting game, but making in Japan. It's a little enterprise system vision. I interviewed this Japanese programmer. They interviewed for coming for a magazine in São Paulo. Why I talk about it? He said did everything. So he was an assistant, but he was make a work like chief programmer. So so he was an assistant, but he create all characters for the game. So he
did everything.
Yes, my observation. So, but the gameplay is important.
Absolutely.
So,
if the only reason I played the games I play is because of the gameplay. The graphics are wonderful, and it's great to have good graphics, but I played games that looked great and sounded great, but they played bad. I'll give you an example. This is, again, my opinion. This is just my opinion. I know there's a million people out there that are going to disagree with me when I say this, but an example of a game that doesn't feel good to me, and this is just my opinion, is Halo. Halo doesn't feel good to me. It's very bouncy. It's because I know it's taking place like on other planets, and it's in like an outer space type of thing. So, and I get that, but that's a very unnatural physics experience for somebody who, my point of reference is Earth. I know how life is here on Earth, so I want my characters to behave like they behave on Earth. More like Call of Duty. Call of Duty is like on Earth. That's got, for me, much better gameplay, much better playability. Or some of the things that you can do, like if you're going to be grabbing a rope to climb up to the side of a building, the way they make the character do that, the way you have to use the controller, to hold down one button and have the character scale up the side of a wall with a rope is not realistic. I want to have to do some combinations of keys to be able to get them to climb the rope. That's better gameplay. That's where I'm interacting, and I feel like I'm controlling the character. I don't want to just push one button and have them grab the rope and all of a sudden they're just sliding up the rope to get to the top of the building. That's not realistic. So there's opportunities for ease of use, but then you get less realistic. And then there are times when you can spend time building things to make them feel real. And yes, the player has to work a little harder, but they get something out of it. You can master that. That'll make the difference between a player being really great and a player that's only good. Because the great player learned how to use the keys to be able to get that player to climb the rope. So they could get to the top of the building and get the power-ups and maybe get an advantage over their opponent, where the person that hasn't figured out how to climb the rope yet, they're stuck down on the ground, So I think that's all part of gameplay. It's not only physics, it's also mechanics. So it's physics and mechanics together working to make the game feel right, feel real. In a game, we're supposed to be willfully suspending our disbelief. We're supposed to believe that we are that character in the game. We're supposed to feel when we're moving through the level that it's me that's moving through the level, not the character. I am the character. I want to be the character, right? And so you lose that feeling when the mechanics are bad and when the physics is bad. Now, with Halo, great mechanics. I think Halo has great mechanics, but their physics is all off. My opinion. My humble opinion, and I love the game. I love Halo. I really do. I played a lot of Halo in my days, but I don't like. I got tired of the physics of it, so I stopped. Musically,
yes,
musical work. So I released a CD. I've released several music CDs over my life. But there's a particular CD that I released. The name of the group is River's Edge, and the name of the album is The Sweet Life, La Dolce Vita. And it was released back in, I want to say, it's either 2004 or 2014. I can't remember which one it is. I actually have some copies on the shelf over there, but I don't want to break away to go look at the date. But that album was written and produced by myself and another gentleman by the name of Tommy Lathan. And he and I spent a year working in my studio on putting that album together. And I think that the writing and the overall production of that music is some of the best stuff I've done. And I think Tommy would agree it's up there at the top of the heap of some of the things that he's done as well. I have probably the most pride in that particular body of work. I'm currently working on mixing other projects. I'm not doing as much composing these days, although I'm going to start again before too long. My next solo album will begin production probably in the next couple of months. But I'm in the process of doing some mixing right now. And I moved to a new home in South Carolina, and I rebuilt my studio in the home. And I'm actually very, very, very happy with the sound I'm getting from the new studio, from the way it's laid out and the equipment I put in it. And I'm finally getting a sound that I believe is world class. You know, it's not like $1 million studio, but it's a home studio, and it still competes with, other commercial studios in many respects. So I'm excited to see what I'm going to be doing in the future. But right now, everything in the past, I think it's really been pretty much, I'm going to go with The Sweet Life by River's Edge. And River's Edge is just Tommy and I, the two of us. It's a writing team, and that was what we called ourselves. And it was probably my best accomplishment.
If you want to back in time, if you have this chance, so you have miss or some nostalgia have about your past. You have so miss or nostalgia.
No, that's an interesting question, because that's very philosophical. That's a very philosophical question. I would not change my past, but I miss all of my past. But I'm very happy with where I am right now, and I look forward to the future. So the things I've done, I'm glad I did. All of the things I did in the past, I've been very blessed. I've had a lot of very interesting jobs, working for a lot of different companies, doing a lot of different things. I've had a lot of different opportunities where my creativity was brought to bear, and I was able to express my creative self. And all of those things are things I would never want to change. I love where I'm at in my life right now. My wife and I, our children are all older. They're out there. They're starting to make babies. I've got Neto and Neta, grandsons and granddaughters.
Yes.
Neto.
It's a Neto. Yeah.
Neto.
Did you come in Brazil someday?
No. I have, let's see, I got dos Neto, one Neta, granddaughter.
The family reference. Grandfather.
I'm a grandfather.
Is avô. Is grandfather is called avô.
Avô?
Yes.
I see. Okay. You a avô.
Avô. Grandpappy.
Grandpappy. So I look forward to being a grandfather, and I look forward to, my wife and I, we're able to spend more time together because the kids they live in different places, and I love the job I do now. Right now, I work as a enterprise architect for a large company here in South Carolina. I also write books. I just finished during COVID. I wrote 3 books during the COVID period. And so that was book 16, 17, and 18. So I've got 18 books now that I've finished. I'm negotiating another one right now with LinkedIn. I'm hoping that they pick it up. And I'm enjoying doing that. And then, of course, I've got my studio, and I'm mixing music for projects, and I'm going to be starting to write my next album. So I don't look back wishing I could go back and do stuff, but when I look back, I'm like, wow, I had fun back then. Everything about my past, all the nostalgia is all good. And I'm happy that I did it, and it's time I just keep looking forward. I'm very forward looking. I think about the past, but I look forward to the future. So
it's so cool. If you were called to play game in Brazil, would you accept it? If you
Absolutamente, absolutely.
But
Vamos então à segunda parte, né? Essa é a parte final da entrevista. O vídeo ficou dividido em 2 partes, legendado, né? Depois eu vou fazer. Mano Léo, né? Como eu tenho descrevi também. Depois a entrevista vai ficar direitinho inteira, né? Na íntegra no YouTube. Aqui a gente está fazendo uma transmissão pela Twitch, né? Mas também a transmissão está sendo feita também no YouTube, né? Só que essa entrevista vai ficar direitinha, né? Na íntegra com introdução, a entrevista completa e o encerramento. Eu queria fazer no mesmo vídeo, né? Eu queria fazer o mesmo vídeo, só que eu tô tendo problema de renderização para juntar as 2 partes da entrevista com a introdução e o encerramento no mesmo vídeo. O computador aqui, ele tá travando muito, né? Aí já aconteceu por exemplo, eu abri aqui vários canais aqui no navegador do Google Chrome. Aí eu fui abrir vídeo, fui abrir algumas outras coisas aqui, aí travou tudo, né? Travou tudo. Aí o que acontece? Depois, quando eu voltei, eu comecei a ter problema de conexão do nada. Acabou que aí já viu, deu um pau do caramba. Vamos ver aqui a segunda parte.
I can give you some guidance and some suggestions.
Beleza. Ele depois eu vou fazer um react desse vídeo também, né, para explicar uns detalhes que ele falou. A questão, vamos lá. Agora eu tenho que configurar de novo. Para parte 2. Isso aí, gente. Boa sessão aí na segunda parte. Mais uma vez. Agradeço a todos que estão assistindo. E vamos que vamos. Qualquer coisa aí eu vou comentar no chat. Se você, pessoal que estiver comentando, eu vou comentar no chat também. Beleza?
I can give you some guidance and some suggestions. A lot of the people that I was connected to in the game industry are not really in the game industry anymore. They're like me. They've retired. They've moved on to other things. You know, and now it's a whole new group of people that are coming in. But the game industry is still the game industry. Definitely write your ideas down, because I'll tell you what, it all starts with an idea. The idea is the seed. The idea is where it all comes from. And it's the people that have the new, fresh, different idea. Those are the ones that make successful games. Then all you have to do is find the right people to help you build your game. You have to have the right people with the right skills doing the right work, you know, and that's the harder part, because people are people, you know. People are not always trustworthy, or they're not always on the same page, or they're not always, you know, willing to invest their hard work in your idea. But if you find people that are committed to getting the idea done, you can be successful. But you have to have the idea. You have to just write these ideas down. So if you've got ideas, you don't even have to tell me what the ideas are, because I don't even need to know that, but I can share with you some of my insights about the music industry, or the video game industry, and where you might begin to pitch your ideas, you know. So, but I'm probably not going to tell you anything you don't already know. I think that you're a very clever man. You're knowledgeable. I think you'll probably already know most of what it is I have to say. But I'll share my ideas with you anyways. It's free. I don't charge. No charge.
Do you have like to leave a message, final message? Did you have?
So I mean, yes, I do. I'm going to talk a little bit to both people that are into developing games, and I'm going to talk to people who are into playing games, because it's a slightly different audience, right? For those people who are out there making games and designing games, I think there's a great opportunity for the gaming industry to continue to build games that help people learn valuable skills, valuable lessons. You know, gamification is the gamifying of education. And I think every game that gets created has an opportunity to include an educational element, whether it's through, you know, the content and the storyline, or the skill, the physical, mechanical skills that somebody has to learn, or whatever it is, because even like a flight simulator could be very educational if someone down the road really wants to learn how to fly a plane. So really always be conscientious of the idea that when you're building a game, you also have a great opportunity to educate people and help them learn without even knowing they're learning, because they're too busy having fun playing your game and they don't even realize they're learning. But those are some of the best lessons that people can actually get, is when they're learning and not even realizing it, they're just having fun. That's a great thing. So if you can build that into your games, all the better. Now, for those of you who are playing games, there's a big life out there. And video games, entertainment, recreation, you know, decompressing from the stresses of life, there's a place for that. And when you use gameplay for that purpose, it's a good thing. But everything in balance. Everything needs to be in proper balance. Don't exclude the rest of your life for any one aspect of your life. Find a good slice of your life where you could do all the things that are important, including playing games, traveling, going to movies, going to see live music, going to museums, going to restaurants, going to do the things that you like to do. Don't just get yourself locked into a room and not interacting with other people. Don't let a game environment take the place of real human interaction. And talking to people on the headset's not quite the same thing. We're talking about getting together, shaking somebody's hand, going out, having face-to-face conversations, that type of thing. Balance is everything. And then gaming will always be a positive thing in your life. There's no way for gaming to ever be negative if you keep it in check, if you keep it in balance. And if you do that, life is going to be great, and you're going to have a blast playing the games that you play. And you should be able to play games till the day you die. You know, my ideal death would be I died with a controller in my hand, playing my favorite game, whatever it happens to be at that moment in time. And when I was just about to beat the boss, then I die. You know, and that would be a great thing. But I also want to be able to look back at my life and say, and I also lived my life fully, that I had family, friends, lots of other things other than just gaming. So keep it in perspective and have a great time with it, and hold your game developers' feet to the fire and make them develop games that are fun to play. You know, they have to develop based on your voice. Whether you go to the store and buy a game or not, or whether you download it or not, it's really going to make the difference between whether or not you're buying quality product or not. If they think they can get away with putting out half-baked products, they're going to do it because that's the cheapest and they can make the most money. Hold their feet to the fire. Make sure that if you're going to buy a game, it's going to be because it's a quality game. And there's a lot of them out there. So enjoy yourself. But that's all I've got. And thank you. I really, I appreciate this opportunity to talk with you. It's been great. It's a flash from my past. It gave me a chance to kind of revisit some of those things in my past that I haven't thought about in a while. So I really appreciate that.
I have final message. Paul, thank you for your patience. I'm surprised by your kindness. You're a great person, a great professional. I just have to thank you for the space you gave me. For me, that this is very important to me, and thank you for your trust. Thank you very, very much, Paul. You're amazing. I'm going to love you forever. So,
de nada, mi amigo.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Oh,
so
very good. All right, everybody.
E é isso, pessoal. Vamos agora para o encerramento, né? Vou dizer algumas palavras no final também. Tá? E salve! Uou, Venom Flow Charles! Muito bom ter você aqui, obrigado! Obrigado, a gente está fazendo aqui uma transmissão, né, com a entrevista que eu fiz com... Ele foi o editor de som do Eternal Champions, né? E de todos esses jogos aí, ó, embaixo também. Greendog, Home Alone, foi diretor de áudio do Sonic Spinball, do Batman Returns, Tail Spin, mais outros jogos. Ele também trabalhou com Mortal Kombat, né? E, bom, vamos lá. Aí eu vou fazer o que? Eu tô fazendo essa transmissão especial, né? Mostrando uma entrevista e tal. A gente acabou de encerrar agora, mas tem um extra no encerramento aí e tal. Falando mais alguns detalhezinhos, né, dos bastidores e tal. Uma coisa bem interessante. Talvez eu faça uma retransmissão, sendo que com reacts, né? Explicando cada detalhe aí. Foi uma entrevista de 2 horas. Claro, a gente fez vários cortes na entrevista para deixar o negócio mais, né? Mais ágil e tal. E vamos lá. Grande querido Charles. Hoje, deixa eu ver, ele tá fazendo. Vamos lá. Vamos ver aqui. Olá, espero que você tenha gostado desse vídeo. Para você que ficou até o fim deste vídeo, muito obrigado de coração. Houve ainda uma despedida do nosso compositor dizendo obrigado, muito obrigado. Ao fim do vídeo, em excelente português. Cheguei até a perguntar se ele já tinha vindo para o Brasil. Você já deve ter visto isso no vídeo. Uma pena que esse trecho foi cortado, pois no fim eu esperei ele sair do chat ao vivo para poder encerrar. Porém, ele esperava que eu fizesse alguma fala de despedida, e essa parte acabou sendo engraçada demais para minha vergonha e cortei do vídeo. Bom, mas pelo menos deu para gravar alguns momentos dele falando em português, muito bom e muito claro. Ele sabia até dos nossos memes. Ele deixou algumas fotos aqui, né, de recomendação, como é muito difícil achar fotos dele na internet. Tanto do Paul quanto do David dele eu nunca achei nenhuma foto na internet, mas o Paul ele teve a cortesia, né, de enviar algumas fotos especiais para mim, assim, para que eu pudesse utilizar à vontade em qualquer divulgação. Então, em homenagem a ele, eu estou aproveitando todo esse material para apresentar a vocês. E por hoje é só, pessoal. Um grande abraço, muito obrigado mais uma vez, de coração. E compartilhe aí com seus amigos, para quem se interessar por esse conteúdo. Eu acredito que para pessoas que no mercado de jogos deve ser muito interessante. Um grande abraço! Então, pessoal, mais uma vez eu agradeço de coração, né, toda a audiência do Facebook, da Twitch e do YouTube, né. Agradeço também ao Venom Flow Charles, a Mano Léo pela presença, ao Al Rocha que passou aqui mais cedo, a Hidratada também pela visualização. Deixa eu ver quem mais. Aos amigos aí Andineski também, da Game. Vamos ver aqui. A GameNetic, que é a antiga Game Expo Rio, né? E, bom, eu vou fazer um vídeo de reação dessa entrevista depois, né? De repente, porque amanhã eu vou sair cedo, eu vou ter que. Então, a live vai terminar cedo hoje. Na verdade, era para ser uma live só, né? Direto. E aí, eu acredito que na sexta-feira eu esteja de volta, né? Porque eu tenho que pegar meu controle lá, que, né, deu um problema, eu botei para consertar. Aí talvez eu faça alguma jogatina na sexta-feira, mas é isso. Aí eu fiz essa. Do caso, a gente vai fazer assim. Eu tenho um canal de cortes também aqui, que é o Cortes do Mestre Ryu, que vai ser compartilhado os cortes com as melhores partes da entrevista, né? E aí, depois eu vou também fazer uma versão internacional, sem legendas, versão que pro pessoal de fora, né? O pessoal de fora também tem interessado nesse material, então eu vou compartilhar também a versão sem legenda, inglês e tal. É isso, vai ficar bonitinho. Bom, e mais uma vez aí, obrigado mesmo pela presença de todos, né? Então é isso, a gente termina por aqui. Obrigado, um grande abraço.